The story begins with Morris, a sharp thief, being transported by police to serve a life sentence in the world's most secure prison, Alcatraz. The prison sits alone on a tiny island in the middle of the ocean. Even if a prisoner somehow manages to break out, the water surrounding the island keeps them trapped. That's why this place is considered escape-proof. Only the most dangerous criminals are sent here. But Alcatraz's reputation is about to be shattered because a new inmate has just arrived, Frank Morris, a mastermind who has already escaped from several prisons before. This time, though, even he feels a little uneasy. This place is much tougher than anything he has ever faced. But Morris has no intention of spending the rest of his life locked up. From the moment he steps foot inside, he's already thinking about breaking out. As soon as he enters, the guards search him from head to toe and lock him inside his cell. One guard looks at him and says, "Welcome to Alcatraz." And that's where the real story begins. A loud bell rings, and all the cell doors open automatically. Officers order the prisoners to step out. Discipline in this place is unforgiving. Everyone must follow strict cleaning routines and return to their cells at exact times. All the inmates, dressed in identical uniforms, line up for breakfast. Morris sits across from a prisoner named Litmus. Morris complains that he didn't even get a fork to eat his noodles. Litmus snaps back, "This isn't your home. Eat what you get and keep quiet." At that table, a dangerous inmate named Wolf starts teasing Morris. Everyone in the prison fears Wolf, a violent bully with several assault cases, including sexual assaults. Here, even criminals are afraid of other criminals. Litmus asks Morris for some food, and Morris hands him his plate. Under the table, Morris notices Litmus isn't eating the food at all. Instead, he's feeding a little mouse he secretly keeps. That night, a guard takes Morris to the warden's office. The warden tells him, "I know you're intelligent, very intelligent, but that won't help you here. Many smart men have come here before, but none ever escaped." He explains the rules. Prisoners can receive visitors only once every 2 months, and even that depends on the warden's mood. He warns Morris not to even think about escaping. "You'll be torn to pieces," he says coldly. Morris pretends to agree, but in his mind, he's already planning. While leaving, he secretly steals the warden's nail clipper, a tiny object, but Morris knows that in a place like Alcatraz, even the smallest tool can become a weapon. Back in his cell, he hides it inside a Bible. The next day, Wolf corners Morris in the bathroom again. But this time Morris doesn't hold back. He grabs Wolf and beats him brutally. After that fight, Morris's reputation instantly changes. No one wants to mess with him now. Morris is given work in the prison library, where he meets English, a senior inmate who has spent half his life here for killing 2 men. English knows everything about the prison, every guard, every fight, every rumor. He even knows about Morris's fight with Wolf. English hands Morris a stack of books to deliver to different cells. Later, during yard time, Morris meets Doc, an old artist quietly painting a self-portrait. Doc is a simple, gentle man who has survived years here by losing himself in his artwork. His paintings keep him sane in a place where anyone could easily lose their mind. Morris asks him why he painted a flower that isn't even on his shirt. Doc replies, "That's my happiness. It exists only in the painting, not in my life." Morris then sees English sitting above them with his crew. When Morris approaches, English's men block him, but English tells them to let him through. Morris sits beside him and immediately says what's on his mind. "Help me escape this place." English laughs. "Kid, this isn't a prison, it's our grave. You leave here only as a dead body." He tells him that even if he climbed the huge walls, dodged the armed guards, and reached the outside, the ocean would kill him anyway. He tells Morris to stop dreaming and just serve his sentence if he wants to live. But Morris is not the type to give up. That night, a guard assigns Morris to the carpentry shop. He'll be paid 50 cents an hour. Morris immediately agrees. He hopes that in the workshop he'll find tools that can help him escape. The next day, Morris asks Litmus if there's any way to escape. Litmus jokingly says, "Easy. Every cell has an air vent. Crawl through that and reach the roof." Then he laughs and walks away. Doc rushes to warn Morris. Wolf is coming for revenge. Wolf attacks Morris with a knife, but Morris wraps his coat around his arm and fights back. A guard tries to intervene, but Wolf stabs the guard too. Everything turns chaotic. The guard in the watchtower fires warning shots, forcing both of them to stop. Morris didn't even realize there were armed guards on the roof. He's learning something new about the prison every day. Both Wolf and Morris are taken to D Block, the dreaded dark cells where prisoners are tortured mentally. No one wants to be sent there. Before entering, Wolf warns Morris, "I'll be the one who kills you." Morris spends 2 miserable weeks inside that hellish place. When he finally returns to his cell, Litmus sends a tiny note using his pet mouse. "Welcome back, Morris." A new inmate arrives named Charlie, placed in the cell next to Morris. They quickly become friends. Morris introduces Charlie to Doc, English, and others. One day, the warden suddenly inspects every cell. When he reaches Doc's, he notices dozens of paintings. One of them is the warden's portrait. For a moment, the warden smiles. But the next day, for some unknown reason, he orders all of Doc's paintings to be thrown away. This completely destroys Document. His only happiness in this miserable place is taken from him. Morris tries to cheer him up, but Doc is broken beyond repair. The next day at work, Doc secretly slips something into Morris's coat pocket. Then, out of nowhere, Doc cuts off his own fingers with the carpentry axe and screams, "If I can't paint with these fingers, I don't need them." Guards drag him away. Morris reaches into his pocket and finds the small flower from Doc's painting, a final goodbye gift. He picks up Doc's severed fingers, puts them in a box, and tells a guard, "Go give this to your warden. He'll be happy." Later, Morris spots a cockroach crawling into his cell's air vent. That's when it hits him. There really is a tunnel behind the vent. English tells him that Doc mutilated himself because painting privileges were revoked. The cruelty makes Morris even more determined to escape. In the dining hall, Morris sits with 2 brothers, John and Clarence, men he once knew from another prison. They're smart, disciplined, and sudden hope sparks between them. Escaping Alcatraz might actually be possible. Charlie's girlfriend visits him, telling him that his mother is gravely ill and may not live long. Meanwhile, English's daughter visits. Seeing how much she's grown brings him to tears. He missed her entire childhood. Watching his friend's heartbreak pushes Charlie to ask Morris to include him in the escape plan. Finally, the group gathers, Morris, John, Clarence, and Charlie. Morris explains, "Each cell has a vent leading to the roof. The walls are weakened by sea salt moisture. He already has a nail clipper and has begun chipping away. If they can climb to the top, they can scout a path out." John worries. What if the guards notice they're not in their beds? Clarence has a solution. The prison barber is an old friend. He can secretly give them real human hair. They'll build dummy heads and place them on their pillows to fool the guards at night. But escaping the prison is only half the journey. What about the ocean? Morris tells John, "That's where you help. You work in the clothing department. You can steal raincoats. We'll turn them into a raft and life vests." It's risky, but the brothers agree. Charlie pleads for a job too, so Morris assigns him lookout duty while they dig. The plan begins that night, but the nail clipper is tiny and weak. It takes all of Morris's strength just to chip a small part of the wall. His hands blister. The work is painfully slow. At breakfast, he tells the others he needs a bigger tool. Suddenly he gets an idea. He intentionally rubs his spoon on his shoe to dirty it, calls the guard over, and requests a new spoon. The guard doesn't find anything suspicious and immediately approves the exchange. Morris heads straight to the table where another guard is sitting. As he begins switching his spoon, John distracts the guard with small talk. Taking advantage of the moment, Morris quietly grabs 2 spoons instead of 1, slipping one into his pocket before walking back to his cell. That night, English brings him some books. Morris asks if there's any welding equipment anywhere in the prison. English realizes Morris is still planning to escape. He warns him again that all of this is pointless. He'll be caught, or worse, he'll be killed. English says he has spent years in this prison and never once thought about escaping because he knows it's impossible. But since Morris is stubborn, English gives up and tells him to do whatever he wants. The warning doesn't affect Morris at all. The next day, he asks Litmus for matches and promises to give food to Litmus's mouse every day in return. Litmus loves that mouse more than anything, so he happily agrees. That night, Litmus quietly passes the matches to Morris. Morris removes one handle from the nail clipper. He plans to turn it into a digging tool. He breaks the spoon and attaches it to the clipper handle. Using the matches, he heats the metal and welds the pieces together, creating a sharp, homemade tool. With that, Morris starts digging around the air vent. Charlie stands guard. If anyone comes, he's supposed to whistle. But Charlie starts getting sleepy, and his eyes close. At that moment, a guard starts walking toward the cells. Luckily, English steps in between and distracts the guard just in time. Charlie wakes up but panics and forgets to whistle. Instead, he accidentally drops something on the floor. Morris hears the noise, covers the vent, and jumps into bed. The guard asks why it smells like something is burning. Morris replies calmly, "Sir, with you around, no one would dare smoke. I don't smell anything." The guard feels appreciated and leaves. As soon as he's gone, Morris removes the concrete around the vent. But now he faces another problem. The vent cover is secured with screws. Cutting those will require a sharper tool. Whenever Morris gets the chance, he quietly disposes of the cement pieces outside the cell. The next day in the carpentry shop, Morris steals a piece of metal that's as sharp as a knife. Charlie warns him that the metal detector will catch it, but Morris confidently says he'll take care of it. As Morris walks out, the detector immediately goes off. He's carrying one of the metal pieces in his hand. The guard asks why he's carrying it. Morris says he thought he could use it to hang his clothes. The guard tells him to stop being clever and confiscates the metal. Morris is thoroughly checked and allowed to leave. But Morris had planned for this. He had stolen 2 pieces. The first one was just a distraction. The real one was hidden inside his shoe. Using that sharp metal, he cuts through the screws and removes the vent. Now the group begins creating the fake human heads needed to fool the guards. Each of them handles a different task. Charlie asks a guard for paint, saying he wants to practice art. The guard agrees and gives him some. Morris grinds the removed concrete into powder. John collects real human hair from the prison barber shop. Clarence gathers old books from the library. With water and magazine pages, Morris shapes a dummy head. He paints it and glues hair onto it until it looks incredibly realistic. He also builds a fake cardboard panel to cover the tunnel so perfectly that no one could tell anything was carved behind it. One night, Morris decides to climb up alone. He places the dummy head on his pillow and pulls the blanket up to its neck. He slips out through the tunnel with the cardboard panel and climbs upward using the pipes. On the other side, Charlie is keeping watch. When Morris reaches the roof, he discovers another obstacle, a large iron grate high above him that he can't reach, not even by jumping. Meanwhile, a guard approaches Charlie and asks why he's still painting so late at night and why Morris fell asleep so early. Charlie nervously explains that Morris was exhausted from carpentry work. Suddenly, the guard drops his baton and bends to pick it up. From that angle, he notices Morris's hair looks strange. Charlie starts to panic, convinced this is the end. The guard reaches into the cell and touches the hair. At that exact moment, Morris has returned and quickly lay back down. He speaks normally, fooling the guard completely. The next day, Morris tells his team that there is a route on the roof, but the heavy grate is in the way. He needs someone to help lift him up. John says his vent is fully opened, and he can reach the roof that night. Together, they will remove the grate. That night, both Morris and John climb up through their vents. John lifts Morris high enough for him to grab the grate. They inspect it and discover it's extremely strong and fully welded. The only way to remove it is by cutting through it with a drill. The next day during music class, everyone is playing instruments. Morris spots a small fan sitting nearby. An idea hits him. He can convert it into a drill. He asks Charlie to secretly steal it. Charlie hides the fan in his instrument case. The guards check his box, but they don't notice the fan. Once Morris has the fan, he spends hours modifying it. Finally, he creates a working drill. That night, Morris and Charlie climb to the roof and begin cutting through the metal bar. The drill is loud, and the guards start heading up to investigate. But just in time, Morris finishes cutting one bar and shuts off the drill. The sound disappears, and the guards assume it was nothing. Now the escape route is fully prepared. The 4 men plan to escape on Tuesday night, from the most secure prison in the world, where no one has ever escaped alive. The next day they meet again in the movie hall, where a film is playing loudly. Under the cover of the soundtrack, Morris asks John and Clarence if their vents are ready and if the raincoat raft and life jackets are complete. They confirm everything is done, including their dummy heads. The next morning at breakfast, Morris places the flower Doc gave him on the table. The warden notices it, walks over, and crushes it with his hand. Litmus becomes furious. That flower was Doc's last gift, and Doc is now gone. Litmus attacks the warden, shouting that he killed Doc and now destroyed the only thing left of him. But mid-attack, Litmus suffers a heart attack and collapses. Morris becomes angry with the warden. That night, the group finalizes their decision. They will escape. Morris waits for midnight when the guards become less alert. English arrives to give him some books. Morris says he wants to shake his hand one last time. English understands the meaning and silently leaves. But something unexpected happens. The warden suddenly shows up to inspect Morris's cell, as if someone warned him. Morris panics. Months of work could collapse in minutes. The warden orders a full search. The guard checks every inch of the cell. But Morris had planned everything flawlessly. Even when the guard removes the suitcase covering the exact spot of the tunnel, the fake cardboard panel blends perfectly with the wall. They find nothing and leave. As they walk away, a guard mentions that Morris and Charlie talk a lot at night. The warden orders Morris's cell to be changed in the morning so they won't be close anymore. At breakfast, Wolf approaches Morris again, threatening that this will be his last night alive. Morris tells his group that Wolf is right. Tonight will be his last night in this prison. Later, Wolf tries to stab Morris, but English intervenes and stops him. English truly wants to help Morris escape, whether he succeeds or not. That night, Morris, John, Clarence, and Charlie plan to climb up through their vents and meet on the roof. Charlie agrees to escape with them, but once he returns to his cell, fear overwhelms him. Sitting alone, he decides not to go. The other three reach the roof and wait for him, but after a long time with no sign of Charlie, they move on without him. Charlie sits in his cell regretting everything. His chance at freedom slips away while the others move forward. Morris, John, and Clarence avoid the searchlights and reach the edge of the building. Charlie finally gathers courage and climbs up, but he's too late. He can't reach the exit door alone. His fear cost him his freedom. The other three hang from pipes, climb down, avoid the tower guards, and reach the final fence. One by one, they climb over it and reach the outside. They run toward the shore. At the water's edge, they inflate the raft made from stolen raincoats. It takes a long time to fill the boat using only their breath, but they have no choice. Eventually they finish, push the raft into the ocean, and escape, making history by breaking out of Alcatraz. The next morning, a guard checks each cell. Everything seems normal until he reaches Charlie. Charlie stands silently, consumed with regret. The guard asks why Morris is still sleeping and goes to wake him. When Morris doesn't respond, the guard yanks his head, and it falls off the bed. The guard freezes in shock. The dummy head rolls onto the floor. Morris is gone. Sirens blast through the prison. The warden launches a full search. When they don't find the men inside the prison, the warden orders a search of the ocean. He refuses to believe they survived, insisting they must have drowned. But deep down, he knows they were strong enough to make it. Questions pour in from the headquarters. Officers demand to know how 3 inmates escaped under his watch. The warden is stressed and desperate. Then he finds the flower Doc gave Morris, left behind as a final message. Morris wanted the warden to remember what he did to Doc. A search officer reports that they found nothing, no bodies. To protect his job and reputation, the warden orders them to write in the report that the 3 men escaped but drowned in the water. No one believes him. Morris becomes known worldwide as the genius who broke out of Alcatraz. 1 year later, the prison was shut down permanently because it was no longer considered secure. And this is where the true story ends. If you like this video, then I highly recommend these 2 videos on your screen.